Hey there, deep divers. We're diving into Apple IDs today, something I'm sure you're familiar with, right?
Yeah, everyone's got one these days, it seems.
Exactly. But today's deep dive, we're not just talking basics. We're going deeper into how these things work with BYOD. Bring your own device.
Yeah, especially with all the new privacy stuff Apple's been rolling out, right?
Yeah, it's a whole new world.
Definitely a fascinating area. I mean, more and more people using their own iPhones and iPads for work these days. So, it raises a lot of questions about, like, balancing company security
Right.
with your own personal privacy.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. You have one device, right? Juggling your personal life
Yeah.
and your work stuff.
Yeah.
How does IT even keep things secure on the work side?
Yeah, how do they do that without snooping on your personal photos or messages or...
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it?
Big question. So where do we even start with that?
Well, companies obviously need to protect their data, sensitive stuff. But you as the user, you want to keep your personal things private. And that's where Apple's new approach really comes in.
Okay, paint me a picture. Let's say I'm using my work iPhone. I've got two Apple IDs set up on it, one personal, one given to me by the company.
Okay.
How does IT manage the work stuff without, going through my personal photos, messages, all that? So it just seems like, I don't know.
It's a tightrope walk.
Yeah.
A tightrope walk.
Yeah, it is. It is. And that's where account-driven user enrollment comes in. This is specifically designed for BYOD. It lets your company manage, work-related apps,
Okay.
settings, data, all through an MDM. That's a mobile device management system.
Okay.
But the cool thing is, it only touches stuff linked to your work Apple ID. Your personal account is left completely alone.
Oh, okay. So it's almost like two separate compartments then on my phone.
Exactly.
One for work, one for personal. But how do I even know what my company's managing? Is it just like a black box?
No, not at all. And this is what's so exciting about this. You can actually see what your organization is managing. Really?
Yeah, Apple built transparency right into the system. This helps build trust between you and the company, which is so crucial in this BYOD world.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
I've always been a bit wary of BYOD. It's that big brother feeling.
Yeah, I get it.
But if I can actually see what they're managing, it feels a lot safer.
Absolutely. It's all about striking that balance, right? IT can control what they need to on their end, but they can't overreach into your personal stuff. So, your photos, messages, your browsing history, that's all private.
So it sounds like my company's providing a toolbox,
Right.
right? Specifically for work tasks.
Okay.
But they don't have, like, the master key to my entire house.
You got it. And that's a key difference between this account-driven user enrollment and something called account-driven device enrollment. See, with device enrollment, they have way more control. They can configure the whole device.
Oh, wow.
But with user enrollment, it's laser focused on the work stuff. Like they're renting a corner of your device, not taking over the whole place.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So we've got these, like, separate spaces on BYOD for personal and work.
Hmm.
But what exactly falls under work stuff? The stuff IT can actually manage.
Right. It goes beyond just apps, though. Think about everything you use for work, like email, your calendar, cloud storage, even industry-specific apps.
Yeah.
IT can push those apps directly to your device through that work Apple ID, and they can make sure you're using the right versions
Right.
and that they're configured properly, to meet security standards and all that.
Okay, so it's not just installing the apps. It's like making sure they play by the company's rules.
Exactly. That's a big part of it.
So what are some examples? How can they control how apps behave?
Oh, lots of ways. They can set restrictions to prevent, say, sensitive work documents from being opened in unmanaged personal apps, or control how data is backed up or shared
Okay.
to keep company data, within the right channels. It's like a secure container within your device.
So those virtual fences again, but now for apps.
Exactly, yeah. But remember, you still see what's going on. You
Yeah.
can see which apps, which settings are being managed.
Okay. That's good.
No surprises.
Transparency. It's key.
Absolutely. It's like a clear contract with the company about what they can and can't touch on your device.
Exactly.
Speaking of contracts, let's talk about those MDM queries we mentioned earlier. IT can use those to gather information
Yeah.
about your device, but only on the work side, right?
Okay.
It's limited to the work Apple ID. They can't see anything related to your personal Apple ID.
So no constant monitoring. They're not like reading my personal messages.
No, no. The queries are mostly for practical stuff, checking if work apps are up to date,
Right.
gathering security info, troubleshooting issues, things like that. It's all about making sure the work environment is functioning smoothly and securely without crossing that line into your personal space.
This is making me feel a lot better about BYOD, honestly. It's feeling less like, a compromise on my privacy and more like, okay, this is a smart way to separate work and personal stuff.
Exactly. That's the goal. It's about empowering you, the user, while giving your company the tools they need to manage work data responsibly. It's about setting those boundaries, putting user privacy first,
Yeah.
so companies can encourage people to use their own devices without feeling like they're being watched all the time.
That's a good point. It's like finding that balance where everyone feels comfortable.
Yeah.
No more like tech paranoia.
That's it. And to really get this, we need to look at some specifics. Let's dive into some examples of how those MDM payloads and restrictions actually work.
Okay, so we're wrapping up our deep dive here on Apple IDs and this whole BYOD thing. I feel way less stressed about using my personal phone for work now.
That's great to hear. And it comes down to understanding how these MDM payloads and restrictions work.
Right.
They might sound kind of technical,
Mm-hmm.
but they really do impact your experience with BYOD.
Okay, so let's get into the specifics then. Give me some examples. Like, how do these restrictions actually protect my privacy?
All right, imagine you're working on something confidential and you need to dictate some notes, right?
Yeah.
With a restriction called force on device only dictation, your words stay on your device.
Okay.
They never even go to Apple's servers.
Oh, wow.
Adds a big layer of security there.
So Siri's on a need-to-know basis.
Exactly. It's
Right.
like having a personal stenographer sworn to secrecy.
I like that.
Another good example is managed pasteboard. Helps control, how information moves between work and personal apps.
Oh, okay.
So you don't accidentally paste, say, confidential work data into your personal social media or something.
That's happened to me.
Yeah, we've all been there with those copy-paste mishaps.
Yeah, no more accidentally sharing company secrets.
Exactly. Just a couple examples, but you can see how MDM can really fine-tune things,
Mm-hmm.
balancing security needs with, user convenience, and most importantly,
Privacy.
your privacy.
Yeah, it's good to know that. But we can't forget that IT has all this power, right?
Yeah.
They're the ones who decide which restrictions to use and how work data is managed.
That's why it's so important to talk to your IT team,
Yeah.
understand their policies, ask them questions, raise any concerns you have. Making BYOD work well, it's got to be a team effort.
Okay, so don't be afraid to speak up.
Right. Understand the boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Embrace this new era of BYOD where privacy and security can actually live together.
I think that's the key takeaway.
Yeah, the future of work's changing, technology's evolving, exciting times, And by understanding these changes, you can feel more in control of your digital world.
Absolutely. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into Apple IDs and BYOD for today. Until next time, keep exploring. Remember, knowledge is power.